Hey all, Scott here, and I'm on a quest to find a Mario Kart I grew up playing. This is gonna be harder than I thought. Oh what system is this for? Mario Kart DS to many was the definitive Mario Kart experience. Not me though. I've mentioned this before, but I was born into a Super Circuit family. I owned Mario Kart Super Circuit, played Double Dash at a friend's house, skipped out on DS, and went knee first into Wii. This was one of the only Mario Karts for a while there that eluded me. Don't get me wrong, I wanted all of this, but it just didn't happen. Years later, I've definitely played this one a bit here and there to get a feel on what exactly I missed out on, but I never dived too deep into it all. I mean, yeah, I played a couple of races, but Mario Kart 7 and 8 were giving me the stink eye when I was doing it, so I just went back to playing those. Well, that's about to change. See, even after its successors came out, you always see people considering DS to be the best Mario Kart. And it didn't even have its own unique gameplay gimmick like Double Dash, it didn't have the split screen of 64, it didn't have gingivitis like Super Circuit, it was pretty much a very traditional Mario Kart experience. Well, let's see what exactly is so special about this one. The Nintendo DS was formally unveiled at E3 2004, sporting a fun, shitty design. Tons of games early in development were shown, with one of them being a Mario Kart for the system. Now, if Mario Kart Super Circuit was impressive for cramming a real-life Mario Kart onto a handheld, Mario Kart DS was impressive for cramming a real-life 3D Mario Kart onto a handheld. Like, if you held the footage back and squinted a bit, it looked almost as good as Mario Kart 64. I mean, for a portable system at the time, this looked insane. Super Circuit was fine for the time, but to have a true 3D Mario Kart on the go, that was really cool. Being in 3D was just straight up better for the series. While 2D worked, 3D was obviously superior, and we were still in that era where a 3D game on the go was pretty mind-blowing. Now, originally, Mario Kart DS sported a very traditional logo for the series. They decided to tilt it and spank a DS logo in the corner, and look, it even has racing stripes. Now, this is a fun logo for what obviously is going to be a temporary title. There is a lot to unpack here. So the finalized Mario Kart DS logo, this was where the modern logo for the series started. I feel like I've been stuck in an AutoZone the past 14 years. So yeah, I think this is a much better logo in terms of brand recognition. It gave the Mario Kart series its own look. Like if I show you the M from the old Mario Kart logo up close, this could be really any Mario game. And that's right, it was Mario Party 4 this whole time! However, this logo feels more Gran Turismo than Mario Kart to me. But I mean, I can live with it as long as they update this temp title and come up with a fun subtitle for this game. If there's better evidence on why not to try in this world, I haven't seen it. The Mario Kart naming schemes have never been good, but we are actually on a pretty good streak with the last two titles. These are actual subtitles that actually identify what the game was all about. But then Nintendo said, that's great, but let's make the entire identity of our games rely on the system's name. It didn't really matter though, because Mario Kart DS became one of the best-selling entries in the series. After being released in November of 2005, over 23 million copies were sold. There was a special DS bundle, a special DS bundle, and cover art that supported an unhealthy amount of flexibility. I think it's about time to clear my schedule for the day and finally give this game my undivided attention. This is Mario Kart DS. Here we go! Alright, so Super Circuit has the better opening. We'll put this near here just in case things go more downhill. So starting things off, we can actually draw an emblem for our cart. Now, a lot of people took this as an opportunity to draw something crotchy, but I wrote my social security number. Either way, I gotta censor it. I love stuff like this. It is completely unnecessary, and during gameplay, you're not really gonna see the front of your car that much, but it's the thought that counts. I love the fact they give you the option to do this. Selecting our character, we have the mainstay group that's been here since Mario Kart 64, nothing special. However, we get to see them all in glorious Nintendo DS 3D. Donkey Kong, imagine stepping on this model with bare feet, that would sting like a bitch. There's a certain charm to the low polygonal models they used here. It's not like back on the N64 where the models were low poly and were earlier designs of the characters. By 2005, they kind of perfected the Mario cast design. I mean, they haven't changed much since then. Peach got thicker lips, la-di-f***ing-da. So taking these designs and squishing them down into shapes with like 12 sides, that's definitely commendable and interesting. They still look very much like the characters, just with as many corners cut as they could without sacrificing the designs too much. However, these aren't the only characters in Mario Kart DS. We were graced with 4 unlockable ones obtained after completing certain Grand Prix. Daisy and Waluigi are back. Give a shit! But we have 2 characters who have never been in Mario Kart before. Dry Bones. How do you think it would feel if they didn't pick you, they picked Dead You? But we saved the best for last, the final unlockable character in Mario Kart DS, Rob. It's about f***ing time. Now before you ask, I don't know why. This is the first time we've had a character playable in Mario Kart that has nothing to really do with Mario. Don't get me wrong, I love that he's here. It's so weird and different and wacky, but why? Well, let's hop into a race, and I finally figured it out. Why everybody loved Mario Kart DS. It's Mario Kart again. I'm seeing a pattern with these games. Not only is it Mario Kart again, but in 2005, this was definitely the definitive Mario Kart experience. And to this day, I'd argue it's the most well-rounded game in the series. It doesn't really skimp out on much, it offers so much of what people loved about the series to begin with, while also introducing tons to the series, like Rob. Gameplay is much more traditional in comparison to the last game, Double Dash. No 2 characters per cart, no character-specific items. In fact, the Ba-Bomb, which was a character-specific item in Double Dash, graduated and became a real-life item. Only 2 brand new items this time around though. The Bullet Bill, which is a much simpler version of the Chain Chomp from Double Dash. When you're in the nosebleeds in 8th place, you might get a Bullet Bill. Activate it and sit back for a few seconds, the game does all the work, you deserve a break. And the bloopers here as well, it sprays ink on your opponent's screen to make it harder to see. Now, this is somewhat effective in multiplayer, but when I'm playing single player and I get the blooper, this does nothing for me. What, I obscure the computer's view? They're computers, they don't have a view. You know what's nice though? We get a map of the bottom screen on the DS. I'm gonna throw it out there that Mario Kart DS had one of the most boring yet greatest uses of the bottom screen on the handheld. Like, yeah, this ain't crazy, but it's super convenient. It doesn't obscure the action on the top screen. It's easy to glance down there. You can see what items everybody has. You can probably play the entire game on the bottom screen if you're a complete fucking maniac, and swap between up close and personal or bird's eye views. So overall, this is a pretty standard Mario Kart. Nothing that crazy in terms of gameplay changes, but solid as can be. However, there is one thing that makes this game the greatest game to feel like a fucking abomination when you're playing against people who actually know what they're doing. Drifting in Mario Kart DS. It feels good. You get a little boost after pulling it off correctly, hopping with the shoulder button, rocking on the D-pad a bit until you see sparks. That ain't nothing new. But I watched this guy's video from 2010, and I'm shocked. Legend has it, if you pull off drifts constantly, you get the upper hand. You just go way faster than anybody totally not cheating. This is called snaking, and it's bullshit. I refuse. You could technically snake in previous games, but it's most prevalent in DS, and I will not become one of them. I'll play how Nintendo wanted me to play, damn it. I will beat the Wario CPU with dignity. Let's move on to the tracks available, and Mario Kart DS has the notable distinction of having some of the most unbelievably memorable and creative courses in the entire series, as well as some of the most forgettable. Shroom Ridge. Sure. The Mushroom Cup starts things off with Figure 8 Circuit, and by God, they didn't lie. This is as basic Mario Kart track as basic Mario Kart tracks get. I have a weird fondness for that basic Mario Kart aesthetic, but nobody played this track and said, "What the f***?" Yoshi Falls, it's pretty good, it's inoffensive, it's like a cough drop, like I'm glad it exists, but it's nothing I need all the time. Cheap Cheap Beach, nothing sticks out like crazy with this one, I gotta be honest, the only reason I remember it is because they brought it back in Mario Kart 8, but let's take a moment to appreciate they didn't update the Mario Kart logo on the banner to the new one. Luigi's Mansion, oh hell yes! Based on the GameCube game, it's such a cool idea for a track, but they had to barf all this mud in this one section. You wake up some days really happy and then you realize there's a bunch of mud in Luigi's Mansion. Desert Hills, not a fan of this one. I don't know why, I've always had a thing for disliking desert courses. However, Delfino Square more than makes up for it. The bridge goes up and you get some fun little shortcuts. I love when these tracks actually feel like what they're trying to represent, which in this case, it's a town. Just the layout feels so real and fun and interesting. It's just great all around. Waluigi Pinball. There it is. The definition's been blank all these years! This is an absolutely amazing idea for a racetrack. Being on a giant pinball table with all types of electronic neon imagery and sound effects going on, it's beautiful. Shroom Ridge. Sure. DK Pass is a solid enough track, but then we move on to Tick Tock Clock. Oh my god, for Mario 64, that's amazing! Mario Circuit's just a feel-good track. Nothing crazy, but just enjoyable to go through. Airship Fortress, like from Mario Bros. 3, that's so cool! I gotta hand it to Mario Kart DS, it really nails the fan service. A ton of tracks are actually based on previous Mario games, but the themes alone make for some incredibly fun courses in their own right. Wario Stadium is a much more colorful and enjoyable track compared to N64 Wario Stadium. Peach Gardens, I like the concept of, I absolutely hate playing through. A Bowser Castle. Honestly, I only really remember this section where you're on the rotating rod and this shortcut, and that's about it. And finally, Mario Kart DS's Rainbow Road. You have a loop-to-loop that's pretty fun. Other than that, Overall, I quite like the track selection here. While there are a handful of forgettable tracks, DS has some of the coolest ideas for courses out there. And then they added 16 more tracks on top of that. Sure, Super Circuit had 40 tracks, but 20 of them were from Super Mario Kart. And there's not a ton of variety in Super Mario Kart's track selection. 16 more tracks, 4 from each of the previous Mario Kart games. This added so much value to the game. It was awesome to finally have 3D versions of Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit tracks, and to also play Mario Kart 64 and Double Dash tracks on the go. Now they did neuter Baby Park, that originally consisted of 7 laps, and now in DS it's 5. Oh man, it's inching closer. And while a lot of these tracks are great to see back, there are some odd inclusions. Luigi's Circuit from Double Dash was already kind of a figure 8. and they made a track called Figure 8 Circuit in the game. And having 8 of the 16 tracks come from Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit, while it's cool they're in 3D now, they aren't nearly as interesting or fun to play on as the new or N64 and GameCube tracks. The addition of retro tracks kind of shows off one of the problems people had with Double Dash at the time of its release. People looked at the track list and kind of said, that's it? Now Mario Kart has twice as many tracks as usual, with half of them being remade from previous entries. It made it so not only are you looking forward to the new tracks of a new Mario Kart, but what tracks they're gonna bring back. But that's not the only thing Mario Kart DS added. Let's talk about online! Can't say I didn't try. Only specific courses were available to play online, which I find interesting, and it was far from in-depth, but just having the ability to play online multiplayer, the ability to play with friends across the world, the fact that DS introduced this feature to the series, that cannot be understated. This was one of the biggest introductions to Mario Kart. It's a shame it's not functional anymore, but hey, we can still play local multiplayer. You can link up to other DSs without any wires, hell yeah! And you can just use one copy of the game. As long as your other friends have DSs, they're good to go. They're required to play as Shy Guy, which is the perfect way to shame somebody for not buying the game. Battle mode is back and it comes standard with a stage taking place on top of a Nintendo DS. All right, okay, why did they stop doing this? I love this. Balloon battle is similar to what we've had before, but this time you can gain balloons by blowing into the microphone. Yeah, they found a use for that thing, and it makes each and every battle feel that much more intense since you're constantly running out of breath. Shine Runners is here, which isn't necessarily the same as Shine Thief. You have to run around and collect more shine sprites than anybody else, and no, you cannot run out of breath in this mode, it's prohibited. Now, what if you're all by yourself? The Mario Kart series has never been the greatest when it comes to serving its lonely customers. Well, welcome to Mission Mode. In my opinion, one of the greatest ideas the Mario Kart series had that they just refused to do again. You get these little pre-made challenges and boss fights. It's nothing amazing or something that'll make anybody go, what the f***? But it gives you something to do single player wise, and it's fun. It's fun to try and get the best time completing these missions. It's fun to just beat them in general. It's just such a great mode to have, and I just don't get why they never brought it back to this day. Mission mode might not have been anything mind-blowing, but just the fact that it gave you this fun checklist of things to do by yourself made it so then Mario Kart DS was almost as fun in single player as it was in multiplayer. Multiplayer was always going to be more fun because, hey, what else were you going to do with your friends on the school bus? Even though I didn't have this game for the longest time, I think this is one of the most well-rounded games in the series. It has great single-player content, great multiplayer, the tracks are good, battle mode is here, it introduced online. There really wasn't any part of Mario Kart DS they slacked on, which you can't really say about a lot of the other entries. Actually, the intro really wasn't as good as Super Circuit's.